Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Rutherford Sports Network podcast. I'm John Thomas Hill. Thank you for joining me this evening, or this afternoon, I should say. And I want to talk about today about the situation going on in the Rachel Nichols, Maria Taylor situation, and sports broadcasting in general. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail about it. Basically, it's like this. Two or 3 weeks ago, a tape was leaked to the media of Rachel Nichols discussing with one of the reps for LeBron James, and she talked about the fact that she felt like the host of NBA Countdown, Maria Taylor, was a, quote, diversity hire. And that Maria Taylor got the job that she's in right now because of that. Because Rachel wanted that job, but Maria Taylor got it, and Rachel thought maybe because of ESPN's history of not exactly being the most diverse workplace, that Maria got it because it would make ESPN look good to its critics. Now, I don't know if there's a whole lot of truth to that, but it to me, it makes Rachel look bad. It puts Maria Taylor in a very enviable position right now in regards to her career, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. And it's indicative of the business of sportscasting in general. Now, Rachel's career probably will be okay after this. I don't know if it means... Let's say if Maria Taylor, and by the way, for those of you who don't know, Maria Taylor's contract ends on July 20th. So theoretically, she could miss Game 7 of the NBA Finals if it goes 7 games. It'll go 6, we know that much. So her last day under her contract is Game 6. So if the series goes 7, and Maria Taylor is not re-signed to ESPN, they may have to bring somebody in for Game 7 because Maria Taylor would be legally obligated to go, you know what? I'm walking. Now, more than likely, if she's not signed with anybody and there's a Game 7, she'll basically get paid like she would normally get paid for ESPN, and they'll basically sign a short extension of maybe a few days, And then... she'll go from there. But it's a very difficult situation for everybody. But in Maria Taylor's case, it's a very advantageous situation because, hey, her contract's up. There's a lot of interest in her services from NBC, from Fox, and from others. So, yeah, you better believe she wants to get paid. And according to reports, she was offered $5 million from ESPN either earlier this year or late last year. She turned it down because she wanted more money. ESPN pulled the offer off the table, and then they brought an offer back with less money, $3 million a year, which indicates that they think they can get along without her. But now, she's in a very good position because if they let her go, it makes ESPN look bad. Because if ESPN lets her go, and NBC picks her up or Fox picks her up, it's going to be seen as ESPN were caving into Rachel Nichols, and going, hey, we're going to go with Rachel Nichols in this situation. Rachel Nichols pretty much, no matter what she does, no matter how this turns out, isn't going to look too good. If she stays and stays where she's at, pretty much ESPN looks like they're keeping her around. But there's a possibility that Rachel may get what she wants if Maria Taylor leaves to go somewhere else. Rachel could conceivably get what she wants, which is NBA Countdown. And that's going to make ESPN look bad because they'll say, hey, they didn't sign Maria Taylor back. They let her go, and Rachel got what she wanted. and that might have some backlash, Now, whether it actually would or not remains to be seen, but in my honest opinion, there is a very good possibility that could happen. Now, my guess is Maria Taylor is probably gone. She's probably going to go to NBC for a very sizable deal. She'll probably do NFL stuff. She'll probably do stuff for the Today Show. She'll probably do Olympic stuff. Because I don't know how much she'll do for the Summer Olympics this year, because it's in literally just a few days, like 2 weeks from today, is when the Olympics start. And then there is the Winter Olympics next winter in Beijing. That's going to be interesting. And then, of course, there's the Olympics in 2024 in Paris, which are going to be very popular because they'll be the first Olympics where crowds will be at for the first time since Rio in 1996, and it's going to be a huge, huge, huge crowd. They'll probably break records for that. So that's going to... Maria Taylor's probably going to get a huge payday. Now, what do they do with Rachel Nichols? Do you put her in the position of NBA Countdown again? And because that's going to look like you caved into Rachel, even though you really didn't, because Maria left of her own free will. Do you go with somebody else? Who do you go with? Who at NBC? Who at ESPN right now do you bring in? You can't get Michelle Beadle because Michelle Beadle no longer works for ESPN, and apparently there is some bad blood there. Do you go with Doris Burke? I don't know if she's got the charisma to be a studio host, and I think she likes being an analyst better than she does with studio host, but that is a possibility. Do you put Stephen A. Smith in that? And that'd be another hat Stephen A. Smith to wear at ESPN, because Stephen A. Smith's already doing a ton to begin with. Do you put Michael Wilbon in that position? I don't know if Michael Wilbon wants to do it, given that he's perfectly fine doing what he's doing right now. Who do you bring in? Do you get somebody from Turner? Maybe bring back Matthew Weiner if his contract's up. Maybe bring in somebody else from Turner. Who's available? I mean, that's a big. And ESPN NBA Countdown is not even close to Inside the NBA on TNT. It's not even close. So if you're gonna bring in somebody to replace Maria Taylor, it's got to be somebody who's going to get you to within something close to striking distance of, striking distance of, and inside the NBA, and that's going to be a huge, huge, huge deal. Do you go after? God, I just thought about the guy. Jeez. Hang on a second. But do you go after somebody from Fox? Do you go after somebody from NBC? I mean, there's a lot of people that are contenders out there. Gus Johnson is someone you definitely should look into, but could he do? Would he want to do a studio show? There's a lot of people out there that you could possibly get that, maybe bring in a James Brown for CBS. If James Brown's contract is up at CBS, and maybe he wants to do more than the NFL. Of course, James Brown is getting up there. He's probably happy where he's at, doing stuff on the side and whatnot. Who do you get? And this is the problem with ESPN. ESPN's biggest problem is that they don't develop talent and build them up to be a superstar, because they don't want to pay the superstars. if you've ever read the book, Those Guys Have All the Fun by James A. Mitchell, James A. Miller, you know that ESPN has, for the most part, not wanted to create another Chris Berman. Well, they did. They did create guys like Dan Patrick, Keith Olbermann, Rich Eisen, Stuart Scott, Robin Roberts, who could potentially be a possibility if she's willing to do it, to get away from GMA for Friday nights and do NBA basketball, you know. Or maybe she'd want to decide to move away from GMA and go back to sports to end her career. Who knows? That's a possibility. But who knows? It's a situation that ESPN's put themselves in because they don't want to pay the big money or develop talent, because talent requires paying a lot of money. Now, they've changed that in recent years because they know that the competition is so intense right now. And that's why Stephen A. Smith got a huge amount of money in his last deal. You know, that's why he got made absolute bank in his last deal, because, I mean, you know, if you're someone that's bringing in views, and you don't have to be well liked to bring in views. There are people who cannot stand Stephen A. Smith, but they'll watch him. They'll say, "Hey, I may not like the guy, but I'm going to watch him," and that says a lot, because, you know, if people love to hate you, they're still watching, you know. But to me, I think the best thing you can do is just find the right chemistry. Make it unique. Make it to where people will want to watch this, but not make it a knockoff of Inside the NBA. And it's hard, because if Stuart Scott were still around, he'd be the obvious guy to host it. He had the charisma. He was the guy. And then, of course, we lost him a little over 6.5 years ago now, because of cancer. And, you know, that's the crazy thing about this, is that they've never replaced him. Maria Taylor's done a good job, don't get me wrong, but is watching the NBA Countdown show a must-see, like Inside the NBA is? No. You watch it with half an ear, and you're just waiting for the game to start, basically. Now, there are probably people who really like the show, but I've watched it, and it just strikes me as kind of meh. You know, she's okay, she does a good job, but it's not so much her, it's the fact that there's the chemistry isn't there with the other people. And when you have that problem, ladies and gentlemen, it's not going to bring in viewers. And I don't have any hard numbers right now in front of me, because you know how I like to do things. I like to just talk off the top of my head and give you my take. But I just think this is a situation where really we have a wonderful opportunity to bring in somebody that really could do, like, maybe bring in someone from the Hispanic community to come in that can relate, that has, maybe bring in somebody that, you know, Asian or whatever. Who knows? I mean, I don't know anybody right offhand that's available, you know. But you gotta find a way to make that show pop. And Maria Taylor is very good at what she does, don't get me wrong, but the people they put around her don't pop the rating, in my opinion. It's a good show, but not a show you have to see. It's not a must-see show. So they've got to figure that out. And Maria Taylor could very well wind up at NBC doing stuff for Peacock, doing stuff for Good Morning America. I'm sorry, not Good Morning America, but the Today Show, and whatever else. She could have her own radio podcast. She could have her own whatever. She could do stuff for Amazon Prime if it's a non-exclusive deal, and all of that. So, yeah, ESPN put themselves in a very bad position with this whole thing. They weren't ready for this. They almost never are, because they're so corporate now, because they're owned by Disney, and Disney is like the Walmart of the entertainment world, because they are slow to change things and all of that. But it remains to be seen. I like Rachel. I like Maria. I don't know Maria as well as I remember Rachel, because Rachel's been around a lot longer. But who knows? I mean, this is a situation that could wind up... It's a situation that could see Rachel's career pretty much torpedoed, and it would be mostly her own fault. But at the same time, she could very well wind up getting what she wants if Maria Taylor decides to go somewhere else that offers her more money. That's a very realistic possibility here. So, it remains to be seen what happens. It's going to be a very interesting month, because if I'm Maria Taylor, I am wanting to use this as leverage to get the best deal for me. Because in this business, it's very subjective. When her next contract comes up, they may not be a demand for her. And she may be having to go back to a local station or something and be a sports reporter or an entertainment reporter, or go somewhere else and completely leave sportscasting. That's a very realistic possibility. Look how hot Michelle Beadle was a few years ago, and now she's nowhere to be seen. Who knows where she's going to go next? Erin Andrews seems pretty safe at Fox, but things could change for her. You never know. If Maria Taylor goes to Fox, Erin might be in trouble. And what about Pam Oliver? This is a competitive business, especially for women, especially for people of color, because it's so subjective. It's a very male-oriented business. And being a woman in this business is hard. Being a woman of color in this business is harder. So Maria Taylor's got her work cut out for her, but she's going to get the payday. She knows she's in a very good position, very enviable position. So she's going to damn sure make sure she gets the money. So yeah, we will see what happens there. But for now, I'm going to let you go. I'll try to do more of these every so often. So thank you for joining us, and hope you have a great day.